7:25. You are watching GTV Breakfast. Government shoe is not for you, it's for everybody. Beautiful music from Jedubile Ambole, forefather of rap music worldwide. Salute to him. Conversations on police and civilian relations coming up. There's a premix conversation that we'll be having here on the show. Canido, the musician, is in the house. And we've got some young children also here as we celebrate International Day of Education. So these are the things you want to look forward to on GTV. Please grab your phones, put our WhatsApp number there so you can get in touch with us. 055-556-1034. So in the studio, I have a clinical psychologist, a lecturer, a reverend, a historian, and a lawyer. It sounds like the multitudes, but there are only two people. And they're here with me, Professor Daniel Bruce, clinical psychologist, a lecturer, and a man of the cloth, Methodist University. Good morning. Good to see you here.
Yes, sir.
This whole year I haven't seen you, so Happy New Year.
Same to you. Many happy returns.
All righty. And our lawyer historian is none other than Siyawa Nochifrimpong. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
May the year continue to be happy.
Amen.
Fantastic. Let me just flip through the headlines and then we'll find out what's on your mind and then we jump into our conversation. So Daily Graphic leads with a couple of stories that have caught my mind. 96-year-old land dispute resolved. Wow. The case started in 1927 and just ended in 2023. A dispute between two towns in the Ashanti region, Abono and Dedoaku. So that's something that's in the news. You need to check that out. Government has reached a revised agreement with the banks on the domestic debt exchange. There's a new utility tariff nightmare for businesses, according to the Association for Ghana Industries. The state has paid over 6 million cedis costs for a delayed project. Details inside today's graphic. And a lackadaisical attitude to rabies is going to affect the elimination target, as the veterinary director expresses a lot of worry. Education Ministry has opened a portal for STEM SHSs, and STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So those are the headlines in today's graphic. The Ghanaian Times leads with more money issues. Auditor General's report: 26 ambulances valued at $4 million yet to arrive. Wow. To support COVID-19 management. I think Ghanaian Times, they just chose these headlines to make us laugh. Otherwise, we'll cry. You know. Krobi Asante Technical Vocational Schools closed down indefinitely. The students went on rampage, attacking property and blaming the teachers for poor results of their predecessors. I mean, if that's not illogical, I just don't know. There must be some psychological problems going on there. You know. So they've been shut down. A Pensioner Bondholder Forum engages former presidents on exemption from domestic debt exchange program. And there's a suit against decision revoking Commonwealth and Mesa Saba Hall students' residential status amended. That's your Ghanaian Times. Also, a farmer gets 4 years for stealing from a police commander's bungalow. Of all the places this chap went to steal. He went to police commander's bungalow and he's been given 4 years. 4 more for him. The Finder leads with 208.7 million cedis COVID-19 projects uncompleted through deadline, though deadline exceeded. So COVID-19 seems to be in the news all over today. Our responses were not factored into the AG's report, says the Information Ministry, who are in the news also of some allowances that were paid to some senior executives, coming out from the Auditor General's report. And BOG, commercial banks agree to pay cocoa bills of retail investors. Another piece of sad news here: over 1 million COVID-19 vaccines expired. Okay, it's good news for those who didn't want to take the vaccines, but if you wanted to take it, well, they expired, and that's a cost, serious cost there. So these are some of the headlines captured in today's papers, and I'm going to dive to my guests. We normally have a section where they tell us what's on their mind in addition to what may be in the news. So I'm going to start with Prof. Nochi. What's on your mind this morning?
Well, what's on my mind is the story of the famous King Nana Kwame Ansa. I will start by saying that For centuries, we had been trading with foreigners, like those from Carthage, Phoenicia, and lately Europeans. In fact, the Fantes called them Abrofo because the sea, the beyond the area where the eyes cannot reach is a barren nature, So those who come from Ebrechil are the Abrofo. We have known them for long. But in 1471, the Portuguese actively started trading with the local people, especially the Fantes. And there is something worth learning here. Anytime they came with their ships, the local people made sure they would not land. And so the trade taking place was called the silent trade and restricted to the silent trade. And what is it for the young ones? The silent trade was a system whereby the European traders, notably the Portuguese, would arrive at the high seas, come with the canoes, and then place European goods at the shores, and then light fire to demonstrate to the Africans that they had come with goods and retreat. Our people would also place local goods along each one, beside each one, and light fire to show that they should come and pick the local goods. If they come and they do not pick your goods, it showed that it was too small, so come and add some. This was the trade taking place until 1482. Don Diogo de Azambuja came with more than 1,000 people, traders, soldiers, artisans, name them, from Portugal, to meet the local chief of Edina, now Elmina, Nana Kwamena Ansa, for a place to build a permanent home for the Europeans to stay. Let me say that, and today let us learn something the Shama people did. The Shama people were those who first met Azambuja. He wanted to stop there and erect a house there. And the Shama people refused. And these were the reasons they gave, which I believe is worth learning. They said that the white people, Abrofo, were people who are smarter. They were smarter than us. When you minyansa. And then they had technology. But they did not have, or putting it in the present language, they do not have land, and they do not have natural resources. And forever and ever, because we have land and the natural resources that attract them, let us use this as our chip of the bargain so that that trade, the silent trade, will continue. The moment you allow them on your land, they will use their smartness and technology to take your land and your resources, and the end result will be to enslave you. We are praising the Shama people today.
This time.
Now, they didn't receive them, they went to Elmina. And Azambuja promised Kwame Nkrumah the protection of the king of Portugal. They desire to trade with them, and they need to introduce a superior religion. Kwame Nkrumah, also very intelligent, and in fact, the history of colonialism and slave trade commences with Nana Kwame Nkrumah everywhere in the world. He very philosophically replied that the relationship between your people and my people is just as the relationship between the sea and the land. The sea comes, blows the waves to the land, and does not pretend that it will do better by staying here. No, it goes back. And for as long as there is that intercourse between the sea and the land, it becomes fine and there is harmony. And so let us continue to do what we are doing. The moment you come and build a house here, it will be like the sea overtaking the land. Then there will be no relationship. The people would not accept. And what happened ultimately was the construction of the first European edifice in the southern hemisphere of the globe, Elmina Castle, which was Fort St. George, the first ever castle of the Europeans built outside Europe was European Elmina Castle in Ghana. Then Kwame Nkrumah also makes a great history by being the first African king to have offered his land to Europeans to settle on. Whether it is famous or infamous, it's up to us to judge. Then I would also say that as soon as they erected the castle, gold trade shot up, and Elmina became the supplier of 1/10 of all gold supplies in the world. And that led other Europeans, the French, the Spanish, the the Dutch, the English, and the Brandenburgers from Germany to follow up. And so today, Ghana has the largest concentration of European castles, forts and castles everywhere in the world, more than 30, and they are all World Heritage Sites protected by the United Nations. But as the Shama people predicted, and as it was emphasized by Nana Kwame Nkrumah, by 1637, the Dutch had driven away the Portuguese and had increased the slave trade to the extent that the church, the chapel within the St. George Castle was converted into a courtyard where slaves were auctioned. This is the story. And don't forget, by 1884, Europeans will meet in Berlin to partition Africa among themselves. So from the silent trade to direct trade with us, to slavery, and then partition of Africa, that is colonialism, and we are still under the bondage of neocolonialism, all because the Shama people said that these people are smarter than us, and that is the reason why they have got houses that are mobile. The houses they have put on the sea because they don't have land. They are looking for a place to fix their houses. And all that we have is our natural resources and then our land. The moment you accommodate these white people, they get your land, they get your natural resources, and using their technology and their smartness, they would enslave you. Good morning, Ghana.
Good morning, sir. I think history may have changed if Nana had a chat with the Shama people and listened to their advice.
Certainly.
Yes.
But the problem is that, you see, as Kwame Nkrumah was talking to them, what he did not know, that the people had prepared to come and stay, and there were more than 1,000 Portuguese waiting for Azambuja just to get the nod. And you will know that the Shama people had already stated that these people are superior technology. I'm sure at that time they had guns, and we didn't know what guns were, and then the cannons. So definitely they were going to overwhelm us. Yeah. They started with diplomacy, and I believe that if he had consistently maintained his position, it would have been something else.
What if? So hey, think about it. A slice of history for you right here on GTV Breakfast. Thank you for giving us a piece of your mind. So yeah, Onochi Frimpong. Professor Daniel Bruce, what is on your mind this morning?
Yeah, thank you. What is on my mind this morning is, as a clinical psychologist, I thrive on confidentiality by way of what my clients or patients inform me about. But permit me to say this as a warning to the nation, that we are facing a crisis of possible increase in emotional and mental health issues as a result of the introduction of this DEP, Domestic Exchange Program. I am now handling a gentleman who have attempted suicide because, according to him, this year, I guess, he will be 59 years old. And all his savings was geared towards, I guess, that when he hits the 59th year of his living here, he will get a contractor to go and put up his desired house, a 3-bedroom house, on the land he has acquired, Dodowa. He has got the architectural drawing, the bill of quantity, and is aware the total amounts involved. So he and the contractor, they agreed that by 30th October, August, sorry, this year, he was supposed to give him a certain amount to start the project for him. So that by next year, January, February, we'll have finished, and we give him the chance to pay by the time he hits the 60, so that he can move into the room. But here is the case. His fund managers told him that he should come and sign. That his money, which he has saved for 15 years, salary, is about going away. Where is he going after his pension? He cannot go to his family house with his wife and his 4 children. He's become, he can't describe himself. He can't just imagine that this can happen to him. So I want to appeal to our financial gurus that let us listen to the voices of the people, especially the individual bondholders. Otherwise, I cannot quantify the kind of increase in the emotional and mental health problems that we are going to face. So let's treat this case with a human face and listen to people and come to a reasonable agreement. Otherwise, our nation is doomed to experience a lot of emotional and mental health issues. Number 2, our educational system is under threat. We need to take a second look at how teacher-student relationship goes on, the administrative style, the teaching methods, whether they are into practical practice or purely theoretical. Let us also apply the principles of effective way of disciplining. Other than that, we are just grooming these young ones to constitute themselves into a group that we cannot handle if they want to rise up against us, starting from the schools. That is what is on my mind.
Deep stuff going on here on GTV Breakfast. Quick comment on the domestic debt exchange program. As a clinical psychologist, what is going on in the minds? You've told us about one of your clients.
Yeah,
He's attempted suicide.
Sure.
Wow. So how is he? What kind of support is he getting to keep him stable?
Well, his fund managers are talking to him, assuring him that even though this is the arrangement, there is a window of opportunity coming. So they are assuring him, but the problem he's facing now is I haven't got a house. All my thinking is that you are going to give me part of my money to be given to this contractor to start my pension house for me.
Yeah.
Where do I go? Do I go home and people will be laughing at you? You have spent all your years of 35 in Accra working, and now you are back home to join us in a family house. How is he going to handle? How will his children see him? So we are into a family sort of discussion to see the way forward.
What is the state of mind of the people who are trying to push through this domestic debt exchange? I mean,
well, to them, theirs is to gain. That we all know what has happened and why we are here. But these people, they are not trying to face the reality. I am the cause of this problem, and I have to seek for a better solution than attacking people's savings. I'm not mindful of you. Come what may, let me solve my problem, and that is my target. And you don't understand why we can just plan and visit this kind of emotional trauma on people without ourselves feeling for it.
Is it possible that without even psychoanalyzing them, are they also suffering from some kind of psychological issue?
Surely.
Worse
than even the people whose money they are threatening to seize. Other than that, why would me, a reasonable human being, knowing very well that somebody has suffered for so many years, saving his money for a purpose, then all of a sudden have a account without mindful of how many years he has saved, then bring a policy that this is the way forward. Either you leave it or you take it. And it's voluntary. Without you join, no, we don't speak like that. You are threatening people with emotional trauma and anxiety. I've heard many people from GTV, they complain that my money they won't take. And they are very serious with it. So please, we are about creating a very devastating emotional problem for a very big size of Ghanaians.
So your argument is that it's not just an economic or financial crisis, it could be a psychological crisis.
More psychological crisis than the financial crisis. Those people who will die, or they may suffer mental health problems, and they are in the psychiatric hospital, what can you do to them? You know, schizophrenia is not caused by germs. So all the medications will be taken will not do anything until the problem that led you to experience that has been resolved. And it's somebody taking your money that you have really saved and have high expectation of, this is what I'm going to do, only for someone to come and say no. It's just like you have a dream, someone wants to give you money, and all of a sudden you woke up. You feel sorry. So please, we should take a second look at our decisions, especially when it involves people's treasured, valued commodities, especially money. No.
Mr. Brubong, I mean, what do you think of what you've just heard so far about this?
No, it's very pathetic. You know, it's very, very pathetic. Because if you relate this to, let's say, a military regime, you understand, if you are talking about the past, you will not blame them. Nobody voted for them. They decided to put their life in danger. And if it fails, they will die. If it succeeds, they enjoy. But in the case of civilians that people queue to go and vote for because of the message they give to the people. And I remember the last interview Nana Akufo-Addo had with Kwame Sefakai 6 years ago. It was just 2-3 days just before the election, 6 years or more than 6 years, the first election that brought him to power. And I remember his own words that Meye Juma Sa Magana for Memidin Showboy. And Ghanaians remember Nkrumah as Kwame Nkrumah Showboy. And he said, Meye Juma Sa Magana for Memidin Showboy. Bia Betono or Mino Betumpo. And these are his words.
To which he will work so hard.
So hard that Ghanaians will call him Showboy as they gave to Kwame Nkrumah. We will see development. We will see improvement in our lives. We are not seeing that, with all due respect. And then, as Professor is saying, that they have a psychological problem. It's not an insult. The reason why I think it's a psychological problem is that, you see, where you are taking the people and they say this place is not good for us. God created human beings such that we always have an alternative. Always there is an alternative. Is it a woman you wanted to marry and she bounced you? Is she the only woman in your life? Plenty. Is it a man? Did you want to become a lawyer? Is it the only profession available? Do you want to become a broadcaster? And they told you you were a stammerer or you don't have the certificate, so don't be a broadcaster. Is that the only job available in the world? Do you have to go to IMF with such a conditionality that will affect almost everybody in the country? Professor was talking about individuals. I've been dealing with banks as clients.
Talk to me.
They also owe certain entities, and they've used their bonds, you know, the money government owes them, as collateral. So if you are telling them that you cannot have access to your money until some 15 years to come, then it means that these banks are going to continually be indebted to their creditors. But when they bring an action against them in court, the court is not interested in giving government excuses. No, that is not how the court runs. So it means that very soon, not only individuals, but several entities, including the banks, will have their assets being disposed of. Yes, because when I get judgment, I will need to execute the judgment. And when I see, I mean, a Land Cruiser belonging to the bank or any of their edifices, I will have to, you know, and I don't think it will help the nation. I believe the time has come for the president, for the government to sit down with everybody. And as I said here some time ago, if it were an examination and they asked the economists in the government, starting from Bawumia up to the finance minister, their deputies and all those in MPP, and have always prided themselves over the years as a party that is stuck with brainy people. They have never lacked great men, academicians. So if they were writing an examination and they were asked the question, do you have any alternative to the bond system as prescribed by the IMF, please, would they leave the examination room with the paper not filled? No, they will write and get A. Or better still, if Dr. Bawumia were not the president or the finance minister, were rather to belong to the opposition, would he not be able to attack NDC or another party implementing this domestic bond system? No, I believe that we have to do something. I believe that there is always an alternative. And personally, I have said that the Bible says it, and I think Bob Marley, the musician, says it, that when the fool is always thirsty, even when he's in the middle of water. See, God has given us something for free, and that is the land I mentioned. We have got land for agriculture. You know, go to Volta region, go to Northern region, go to Western region, Central region. There is no region in Ghana without arable land. We have got plenty land, and you don't need to take IMF loan $3 billion if you want to survive, because as we all know, this loan is not for investment. It is not for investment. It is only to balance payments. That is all. It's not for investment. So the nation is not going to get any yield out of the 3 billion. But we have started suffering from just the wind of it. No, government should sit down and decide something. And we have got history behind us. When General Champion overthrew the government of PP, Progress Party, under Professor Buzia, the statement he made was, you are not going to service any foreign loan. Then the IMF, World Bank, and all these European powers decided to teach him a lesson. What was it? That if you are not going to pay, then we'll give you more loans. He said, we don't need your loans. And do you know what happened? He moved every Ghanaian to the farm, to the extent that in those days, when you have your house and there's a little space behind it, soldiers will come and tell you, please clear it and then put maize there. In 3-4 months, you are reaping your own maize. You don't need to go to Mala Market or Kandeshi Market. And after about 4 years of the success of the Operation Feed Yourself program, the history is that IMF and World Bank realized that a champion had become so successful that if they did not force him to take loans, other African countries will begin to copy it and the institutions will freeze up. I know we have this, we learn all these things at school. So why don't we copy the good things, all the good things that we learn at school, and then eschew the things that will not help us? IMF is an institution to make profit in order that we'll be able to pay its staff and then get surplus to move on. So why do you make up your mind that you always go to the bank when you have access to your own land? And there are countries like China, countries like Korea, countries like India, you know, ready to supply you financial, agri tools easily, just by way of exchange mechanism with them. That you give us the tools, the tractors, combined harvesters. After 1 year, God made it that all the agri products that we consume, you know, would not take up to a year to reach harvest. That's the way God made it for us. It's only the cash crop that will take a long time. When it comes to cassava, maize, in a few months, you are harvesting. And this country, China has over 1 billion people. They need food. India needs food. All these countries, they need food. So what is your problem?
Who has us we need food?
You too, you need food. So why don't you do that? The moment you have plenty food, there will be no need to go outside to ask for anything. The finance minister has spent 6 years on his job, now more than 6 years, you know, only for him to tell us a couple of months ago that Ghana is going to stop the importation of rice. So does it take you 6 years for you to know that we have got arable lands in Ghana to plant rice from Volta region up to the north? No, I believe there is a need for a change of mind of the government, and it will not affect them in any way. If anything, it will help the whole country. This morning I learned that President Kufuor is going to receive a lifelong achievement. With the greatest respect, this has come long after he has left power. I believe that Nana Akufo-Addo is also watching and listening, and he should begin to ask himself whether after his pension somebody would consider giving him a lifelong achievement award. No, he should begin thinking about that. And if he wants that, it's not late for him to change. It's never late for him to change. After all, the Bible says the servant who tells his master that I will go and does not go is not worth being a servant. But the one who says I won't go and eventually changes his mind and go, that's the will of his master. He is worthy of commendation. So no matter the failures, if now you decide to do something that will benefit the country, we are all going to praise you.
Thank you so much. Professor Bruce, because you're the psychologist here, I'm just trying to go into the mind, the collective psyche of Ghanaians. Mr. Nochi has laid out all the beautiful things that happened in the past with Champong and self-reliance. I mean, we know all the things that have to be done to fix this country. Is there some kind of psychological impediment to just implementing what should be done? I mean, is there a term for it in your practice when you know what you have to do but you don't do it willfully?
Yeah, you see, we have what you call personality inclination or personality disorder. See, people with antisocial personality disorders, for them they don't obey rules and regulations. They don't even learn from their past. If they offend you, they said it is you made them to offend you. They never accept their faults. So we have a lot of people who are like, they are in a nice clothing, but they are antisocial personalities. They don't care what they did to other people. That's the problem.
Are they curable?
No, unless you have realized that no, the way you are, it's not curable. You only have to manage them. And you have to take a very, what will push them into temptation, you make sure you don't put it there. Otherwise, you go. Where is that they will go into incarceration or timeout only for them to come and commit the same thing again. They don't learn from their past mistakes. They neither remorse or regret for doing anything wrong. They don't learn from others. That is their composition, personally. This is the point now. And you see, Ghanaians, we too, I don't know, we describe ourselves that we are very zealous when it comes to a way of, let's say, quick investment and getting higher returns. We are not learning from the past. There was a period. Many people suffered from that. There was no government intervention to punish those people who visited that kind of emotional trauma on Ghanaians at that time. I was very small. Then we have the recent NAM1. That experience too is there.
Men's Gold.
Men's Gold, that experience too is there. People are in the deplorable situation as we speak right now because of the collapse of the Men's Gold barter trade or whatever it is. Now look at this national one. What has the Ghanaian done wrong by way of showing enthusiasm that, oh, this is I want to help you to do this investment. This is my contribution, only for him to suffer in return this. So it's a calculated plan by those we call the antisocials, who have, I don't know where they learn this psychology from, and they'll consider themselves to a very nice institution, lure you into it, and damage you later on.
With no remorse.
With no remorse. And who punishes who? These things that are going on, who will punish any worker at the Ministry of Finance? If people have started committing suicide, who will punish anybody? Who? Nobody. Nobody will be punished, nobody will be disciplined.
Where is the hope?
The hope is that for once we have to rise up and said, enough is enough. You don't take us for a ride. You cannot misuse your money and then, where my money that I save, you come and jump on it and say, look, I'll pay you in 15 years' time. No, you can't do that to me. You can't do that to me. How do you look at me that you have what you call political power and so you have to do that? Is that what you have been elected to do? Is that what you have been appointed to do? No. We elect people to make sure that they create opportunities for us to grow and develop. be happy citizens and not to be sad citizens, not to be going through anxiety and thinking what is next to happen. And these individual bondholders who have constituted themselves in this movement, they are not going to do that free. Whoever is their lawyer leading them, even though I am suffering, but I have to pay. It's just like a unemployed association, unemployed students association. You are unemployed, but you are still paying dues. Where are you getting the money from? You see, the way people are treating us Ghanaians is very disheartening. Why are we treating ourselves like this? We should think of how to better the life of Ghanaians. What we are doing now, do you think me, if I'm one of them, I will never encourage anyone to save money at the bank again, because I know that surely it will happen again.
And that's the fear, because you hear a lot of people saying, you know what, I'm not going to put my money in the bank.
It's a true fear.
Because
and to collapse the banking industry. There was an advert, I was still young, I was in the university then, University of Cape Coast. The gentleman was counting money in a room, and there was a knock on the door. He quickly covered the money he was counting with a big kente cloth. So they say, oh, you see, for you not to be jittery and be suspecting that there are armed robbers coming, it's good for you to send all this money to the bank. They did all these things and they were persuading. Now we have developed that saving culture. People are proud that, oh, I have this money at the bank, and anytime I needed my money, I'll go in for it. And look at what is happening to you. Tomorrow, you want me to send money to bank. Oh, once beaten, twice shy.
You're watching GTV Breakfast. Have a bite of the conversation. Send us messages 055-556-1034. Professor Bruce and Lawyer Anochi are here with me looking at what's on their minds, what's in the news. Professor Bruce, you spoke a little bit about how children are being handled in the school system. And in the past 2 weeks, we've had in the news school systems, schools in the school in Chiana where these 8 girls went on an insulting spree against the president. Yes. And then just recently, this school named after Nana Dr. SKB Asante, Krobi Asante Technical Vocational School. Students went on rampage over the weekend, destroyed property, overturned vehicles. Now the school has been shut down. It's been shut down and indefinitely by the District Security Council. Following the acts of these students, they destroyed lighting systems of the dining hall, all the food in the storeroom, taking away this, it's just crazy. And so there's an investigation going on to see exactly what is happening there. But bottom line is that those students who had nothing to do with it are now have to go home because the school is shut down indefinitely.
Yes.
And you think this is a symptom of wider stuff that's going on in society?
Yes. Those students who are engaging in that behavior, where did they learn it from? That's something we call in social psychology. Social learning. They learn it from the adults. Do you think these 8 girls will just go and abuse the president verbally? It's because we be hearing people call, yeah, we are bored, this and all that. Jimmy.
That's the big word.
Jimmy, papa.
Moi, I've been seeing moi.
Yeah. We said this on televisions, radios, and those people, we clap for them, we applaud them.
What is moi?
More animals.
Oh, Charlie.
You see the point now? We have heard Ghanaians insulting sitting presidents.
Yeah.
They've given them names. And those people, nothing was done to them. Now, young girls, they must suffer for copying the adults. We are hypocrites. I think this is the time we have to use that case to make sure that we bring sanity into the system. Let's now come with a national policy. Let's respect our leaders. And especially the politicians. They must know how they describe their own kinds, each other. Bring ideas. What can you do? It's not about insulting presidents or people in higher political offices and positions. But these girls, you see, the way they were asked to, just like this school was shut down now, it was a reactionary behavior from the adults again. Now, those girls, what should we have done to them that we send them home only for us to call them back again? We are applauding the wrongdoing that they have done. They have not learned anything from what they did, and they will continue to do it. So I was going to prescribe that, look, force these girls to reason through their own actions and come out with what they think, if it is done to them, it will remind them that tomorrow I will not do it again. I will have asked them that, okay, give them 2 weeks to go home, and within these 2 weeks, tell them to give you 4 good reasons, 4 advantages they gain by insulting the president.
Fantastic.
Number two, they should also give you another 4 good reasons, disadvantage that went against them by insulting the president.
So you're forcing them to think about.
You are forcing them to think through their own behavior. Now, looking at the advantage and disadvantage, will you say you are wrong or right? I suspect they will say they are wrong. Now, if you are wrong, what do you think if it is done to you? Prescribe your own disciplinary measures. They write it down. What message do you have for other students? Within these 2 weeks, submit it the last day before to your teachers to help you to work on the grammar. Who have you offended by doing that? You list them down, write the apology also down. And then, what is your message to the young and the old in regard to this behavior? After they have submitted it, all of them, the 8, I will call a big assembly of the school. Present your paper to the students.
This is wonderful.
After the presentation, choose a school in the middle belt of Ghana and the southern belt. Your parents, they must transport you to those schools. You do the same presentation.
Okay, they become like ambassadors.
You're ambassadors.
Goodwill.
Even though you have done the wrong thing, but I'm also helping you to acquire public speaking. By the time if you finish, come back to school. You see, psychology has an answer to many of these things.
No, but this is such a novel way of going about
But you know what? We are all engaging in reactionary behavior.
No, this is such a great idea. Think about what are the advantages of insulting the president? 4 of them. What are the disadvantages?
What are the advantages? What did you gain by insulting him? 4. Just 4.
Yeah.
Like we do in Agri. Advantage and disadvantage of crop farming. Yeah. You see the point that? Give me 5 advantages you've gained by insulting this man, and 5 disadvantages that went against you by insulting him.
And then prescribe the punishment.
Prescribe the punishment if you find yourself to be guilty.
And then present it to the
present
assembly.
But my brother,
I think this is such a novel idea. Don't they have clinical psychologists at GES?
GES will tell you they have guidance and counseling officers in all the schools. It's also another line.
no, it's not true. In fact, I know that people have even petitioned GES to give every school counselors. And I think that will be very important.
Because this is such a great idea.
Yeah. And you see, from what he's saying, I have just developed an idea.
Yeah.
You see, when we were young in secondary schools, anytime you heard about students having a qualm with the administration, it was the word demonstration. And then the demo, what happened out of the demo? Destroying school property.
Exactly.
All the time. So it means that fine school, name it, whether it's Opoku or Achimote school or whatever, that you yourself at the time of filling your own forms, out of the many hundreds of school, this was the one you felt was so ideal and for you, the best in the country. You get there and you destroy the common, dining hall or the assembly hall or whatever, and you think you have achieved something. With this mentality, when the children get to university and then they complete and you give them opportunity to become managers or ministers, they still believe that whatever property or money that is entrusted to them can be dissipated or destroyed or damaged. That is why we have politicians, who would just squander the nation's money and always look for holes to get more, loans and dissipate it. I wouldn't want to use the word dissipate, and keep the money because they think that they will live forever and the whole nation will suffer. They don't care. Just as when they were students, destroying the dining hall or assembly hall meant nothing to them. In the same way, when they become presidents and then ministers, ambassadors, DCEs, the sole aim is either to destroy state property or to steal it. So I believe that the time has come that the nation will have to make good use of counselors, clinical psychologists in our school, every school, for our children to be taught the fact that what does not belong to you must not be destroyed. And then what has been entrusted into your care is to be protected for posterity. Many years ago, when the white people attempted to introduce the lands bill, the lands bill, they wanted. Now look at the fine ideas our people had, Mensa Saba and others. They defined the land, Mensa Saba, and then later on, Nana say this one, the Oforiata. Nana says Oforiata, yes. They gave a very beautiful definition of land, according to the Ghanaian sense, that for us, the land belongs to the ancestors, those who are dead and gone, for the living to protect. For the living to protect, so that those yet to be born would come and inherit. The land belongs to our ancestors, those dead and gone. And then the living are only trustees to protect, so that those who are yet to come will come and find it the same way. If about some 200 years ago, people can give this definition to African property, why don't you imbue it and then use it in a manner that will benefit us, rather than always both students and politicians behaving the same way? Whatever you give to them, they destroy.
Because you learned it from school.
You learned it from school. This is what they are learning, because they also learned it from the politicians.
Exactly.
That you are stealing money. You are in an office, and just the bulb goes off, and that manager who takes about 5,000 cedis a month or 10,000 cedis a month wants somebody to fix it for him in his own office. When it comes to the air condition, which is even more expensive, he wouldn't do it. And he expects somebody to do it. And for the next 10 years, if government does not fix it, he will continue sitting there. When this is something that he could have used his own money to do as part of the system of everybody helping to save the country. Yes, we are not.
There's a lot to be unpacked from this conversation. My mind is still reeling over the proposed solutions to the student indiscipline.
But I also believe
think about their
the ministers and all, they also need counseling. You know, when Nkrumah gained independence, he sent all his ministers to counseling problem courses and then dressing. He taught them how to dress, how to walk, and how to speak to foreigners, white people. You understand?
So you don't feel as if you have a low self-esteem.
Yes,
you have to speak with confidence.
With confidence, and also he taught them that at first, before independence, whatever we did, we called it Broni Ejuma. It belonged to the white man. This time, it belongs to you yourself. And that was why he said you should eschew the colonial mentality. It was part of his independence. And that was what he taught his ministers. And at a certain point, we also learned that he taught his ministers one man, one house. And no minister must have more than one house. Today what is happening? I believe we have to get counseling courses for would-be parliamentarians, would-be ministers of state, and especially flag bearers, presidential candidates. They should take them to these professors, Kolebu, everywhere, to test their mind very, very well before they come out to waste our minds.
I think I support this because leadership. A lot of the work is just thinking, really. So if your thinking is wrong, everything will be wrong, really. We're going to take your messages right now. It's such a very illuminating conversation here with Professor Bruce and Lawyer Noche. And before I go to the board, there's some breaking news that I want to break to you. So, two reverends have asked for an audit of the National Cathedral. These reverends are Eastwood Anaba
very good.
And Duncan Williams. Yes. You are excited?
Very excited. Very, very excited. Yeah, very excited. Because these fingers are not the same. If some think that it is a laudable project, others do not see it that way. But I believe that those who stand in the middle would want a clean job. So the nation should audit it. My only problem is that, last night we were reading about the Auditor General's report about this COVID-19 things. And the bottom line, the whole conclusion has been that in the 6-year life of this present government, far from what the president has always been lamenting in his speeches, COVID-19 has been the most beneficial of all the benefits, what do you call it, of all the ailments that would ever occur, which Ghana would participate. Because you had billions of dollars flowing in, including even local churches contributing money, and in practice not being used for anything. After all, the vaccines that came were free. Some even stayed somewhere and then got contaminated. So yesterday we heard that. We also got to know that Ghana has not sent tanks to Ukraine. So you cannot use the Russia-Ukraine war as an excuse. You know, countries like Germany, Poland, US, they are sending tanks over there so they can complain of loss of resources, income, whatever. Ghana has not contributed to that. The only problem, however, is that every year we will get a very fine Auditor General's report, and that will be the end. Nobody will be held culpable. So it will just be the same old story, then we move on. We want a situation whereby people would rise, as Professor was saying, to demand accountability, serious accountability. Otherwise, the person just reads it and goes away. If you offend the government, next time they will change you and put another person there. Or they even allow you to be there, but there is nothing that you say which is going to be implemented. I believe the nation will have to sit up and be awake.
Thank you. Professor Bruce, I'm asking this question to you in your capacity as a reverend also.
Yes.
So, what do you make of all the controversy around the National Cathedral with Reverend Kusi Boateng, 2 identities, 2 passports, Reverend Doug Hayward Mills complaining about how he was not able to have access to some of the stuff that was going on, and now these 2 men of the cloth, Isud Anaba and Duncan Williams, calling for an audit into the financial matters. As a churchman, how does this make you feel?
I will summarize all this in Psalm 127. Except the Lord build the house, the builders build it in vain. That is what is happening. If God approves and supports something, it goes on smoothly. It goes on smoothly. I don't think God in heaven will be there, seeing that we have problems in our educational sector. As we speak now, there is overpopulation in many of our schools. Our children are not being fed properly. We have bad roads. We have an economic crisis. People's savings are going to be seized. And God says, forget about all these things and put up a cathedral for me. I don't think God is in support of this cathedral. And that is the punishment to them. Is it now that they are waking up? If I had not been this North Tongue MP, who has become the sole ranger in doing investigation to bring out all these things, would they have gone into action? When did they realize that there was something more malfeasance about these things? Let's face fact and be truthful once. It serves us right. God is putting all of us to shame. So especially with the pastors.
Green light for audit.
Yeah, sure.
And then action after the audit.
Okay.
That's accountability.
All right. Messages, thick and fast, on our console. 055-556-1034. And you are responsible for your messages. That's our disclaimer. We always put it out there. It's a platform for you to express your views. Winner B. Unfortunately, according to our laws, nobody except the president can demand an audit of the finances of the National Cathedral. Are you sure about that? Mm-hmm. Is it only the president who can demand an audit? No, I don't think there's a lawyer here. No, I don't think so. Come again, sir. Dr. Fred Vuvo. We are just a sick nation. And you think if ECG can rent an office from its citizens and just refuse to pay, what do you expect from individual Ghanaians? Scientists should stop analyzing animal intelligence and start studying human stupidity.
It's true.
I'm going to take this picture and put it on my profile. Yeah, I like the way the guy is thinking, man. Kasa. Carlos! Dr. Tete said, even if government were to demolish all buildings in Accra to build a National Cathedral, it must be done. That's Dr. Tete's view. What is your view, Carlos? With all due respect, I agree with Professor Bruce. Domestic debt exchange is announced, seizing economic have spoken against it. Citizens are against it. Look at the posture of the finance minister. It reminds me of e-levy and how same finance minister turned down all advice given on the percentage and where we are on the e-levy percentage today. Oscar Asoko in the Shama district. Excellent delivery by Prof. And especially I'm not sure if report on the unadulterated history of Ghana, particularly Shama. About this counseling issue, absence of guidance and counseling coordinators is not the issue. The action by the students is condemnable, but sometimes they are forced to do that. Management of schools are sometimes adamant on the plight of students, from food to water and other issues. Professor Bruce, I'm going to use your system to discipline my children when they misbehave next time.
Okay.
You'll write essays.
Yes.
Yes. Good morning, CAF. The NDC should start taking inventory of all the monies accrued by the NPP government and make sure everything is accounted for. Should they win the 2024 election, says Alaji Haruna, a shy man. Good morning, GTV. You think the technical school must not be closed down because some final year students might have chosen that school. The Kurabi Asante school, that was closed down because of the violence. Government should back off from its idea of seizing people's money in this country. I suggest if they can't rule this nation rather than depending on people's money, government should forget about it. Close the loopholes in the various organizations to have funds to govern this nation. For misbehaving students at various schools, I suggest we bring back proper discipline to the schools. Just compare discipline in those times and then now. Would you go for corporal punishment to return?
No.
As a psychologist?
It's not the way forward.
It's not the way forward. Yeah. How about you, Prof. Lawyer Onochi?
I think so, it's not.
It's not the way, eh? Yeah, it's not the way. Okay. Good morning, CAF. I'm surprised Lawyer from Point is advocating Yenchia. As a lawyer, he should know the legal and economic consequences of this. It will only bring unimaginable calamity. It's better to say we should stop going to the IMF. This 17th IMF bailout should be the last. Enough.
Please, I didn't advocate for that. I was just narrating
saying what
somebody
said.
Yeah.
What the lawyer will always have a comeback. You know that. Yes. Good morning to you and your panelists. How come the employee, the government, does not respect us, the employer? I think there should be a way out to bring or to order the employee who behaves like that. Is democracy a system that should benefit a few people or the larger society? There should be no room for dictators and liars in democracy. Kipo, Tuna, Savannah region. Please discuss what students have done at this moment, but you shouldn't extend it to what elders are doing. The indiscipline in Ghana can be discussed at another time. Don't turn attention to cover everybody. Stick to what's on the table. No, there's always a cost to something. What people have done today is a result of what they did yesterday. Yeah. All right? People without the knowledge of their history is like a tree without roots. Yeah. I didn't say it, Marcus Garvey. And it's true to today. Okay? Blueprint from Esikado. Let me reiterate that there's ongoing government engagement with stakeholders, namely the banks, fund managers, insurance companies, organized labor, individual bondholder groupings, to factor in their views. And you commend government for this initiative. Greetings to Dr. Okotofri, who is your candidate to become president. Okay. Hi, BFFs. Especially in sectors like poultry, rice, tomatoes, using modern technology is the surest way to create more jobs. There must be deliberate efforts to become self-sufficient. Michael Ashalaja. Good morning to you. In our country, Ghana, political leaders only think about next election and nothing else. Ajin, Brefu. You said it a couple of times, says Mahama Kojo from Eswam, that COVID-19 was a glorious opportunity for this government to loot. And the audited accounts have proved me right. Ghana is in the wrong hands, you think. You think they've eaten the current and the future money, and you are praying for judgment to fall on their heads. Okay. Mr. Bote, listening to GTV every morning, you feel like crying. The way our leaders threaten the citizens is not good at all. These are the people who are always in the churches and the mosques every Sunday and Friday. George Kaswa. Greetings, good morning. The two gentlemen spoke with maturity, and you think it's unfortunate that our president is not thinking like these gentlemen. Oh. These people are not here for Ghanaians. They are there for their own selfish interests, you say. Akazabre, the individual bondholder should forget it. Ken Oforiatta will do what he plans, says Emmanuel. You are wishing Ghana a speedy recovery because we are sick, says Loti. Chairman Bento. Auditor General's report revealed that, and this is from the Fourth Estate, Manasseh's Azuri's paper, the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection paid almost 12 million in cash to caterers who provided hot meals during the lockdown. Auditor General's department said it could not authenticate the cash payments because they were supported with honor certificates and lacked internal checks, resulting in the possibility of payments being made to persons who may not have provided any service. Please, Lawyer Nochi, could you help us with alternative to the bond as we negotiate with the IMF? Emmanuel Asiedu. They say they want to know what your alternative is.
Alternative, I provided it. I was talking about agriculture.
Thank you. In fact, Onochi Frimpong has taught us a lot about the arrival of the Europeans and the impact on us. The sad thing is that GES has removed most of this history from the curriculum. But my father also taught me the name Aborofo. He said the Europeans were cruel and tried to demonize and destroy everything Ghanaian, so they were called Aborofo.
We feel a berenechi, you know, Abrochil, and then a berefo.
Okay.
So that's
but what about Bruni?
Bruni, okay.
It's not that they were cruel?
No, it's not that. Because when they came, they were not like that.
Okay.
You know, cruelty started after they had got themselves established.
Okay.
You know, it was a very fine trick.
Okay.
The silent trade period, they did not know how strong and formidable the African was. So they continued to do that, using it to steady us. Then when they built their forts and castles, they traded with us and realized that by dividing us, they could always get us. Right. And indeed, they partitioned us and continue to use us.
I think different ones came to where I come from, because we call them Yevu. Yevu comes from Ayevu.
What is the meaning?
Aye is cunning or tricky, and Avu is dog. So Aye plus Avu, cunning dog.
A very cunning dog.
That's the mentality.
That's the later one. But they came to the Fanti area first.
Okay.
Yeah, 14 something. So, and then it took almost 200 years before they went.
By which time they were established and very.
By which time everybody had known that they were bad people. Very, very bad people.
Camido, I love your songs. I'm proud. For Toronto, you have another. So Camido is coming here pretty soon after this conversation. Revelations from the Auditor General's report. I think everybody needs to print that report and just read it. Read a chapter every night, because it will show you the state of the country.
These people are making Ghanaians to read this stuff. We're not reading.
We have a panelist who comes here every week, Bernard Odutechi. He prints the whole thing, 119 pages, and he comes and reads them to us. Our president should follow the footsteps of the Malawi president, who was able to remove even his cabinet minister, and many went to jail for stealing COVID-19 funds. Good morning, CAF and lawyer. Please, can the lawyer tell me the language they spoke during that era? The Ghanaians?
Very good. You see, because there were individual European traders, some had already established themselves along the coast, especially Cape Coast, Shama and Elmina. And we are told that Azambuja made use of a Portuguese who had stayed at Elmina for over 10 years as his interpreter.
Okay. So they were speaking Fanti there?
They spoke, yes, they were speaking.
Okay. Ghana needs a new constitution with one national plan, so that's Eric Finn Awishi. Good morning, CAF. The vice said he would give tablets to SHS students, but the children are sitting under trees. Daniel. He said, according to the Auditor General's report on the COVID-19 expenditure, senior management and other supporting staff of the Information Ministry paid themselves over 151,000 cedis as COVID-19's risk allowance for coming to work during the lockdown period, without approval from the Office of the Chief of Staff. Okay? It's all there in the Auditor General's. Please, photocopy, make the cafes make some small money, 2 cedi per page, 1 cedi per page, Yeah. And read the stuff. Ghanaians have suffered a lot. Increase in petroleum taxes, income tax, import duties, new e-levy, new VAT, new tariffs in fees, and now bondholders, please don't go into our pockets. Wewudra. Ghana is the only country in the world who took COVID tax. We should be careful. We start paying Russia-Ukraine tax. I'm sure there were COVID taxes all around the world, not just Ghana. I think Ghana should go back to our gods, because the corruption is too much. God hasn't gone anywhere. He's still here, watching us. Good morning, CAF. Ghana is really in the hands of this president. Food is no more affordable. Utility bills unbearable. Politicians will come and say the youth should be entrepreneurs and start something. Where do we get the capital? That's the question. Good morning, CAF. Just like lawyer said, corrupt politicians start their action from being in school. I think the counseling should be initiated in our schools. Okay. Kwesi Pra. You disagree with the professor. Anything that belongs to God faces opposition. Really? If you like, you can come here. I'll give you multiple quotations from the Bible. We don't want any battle beef, Bible beef here, Please, all we are witnessing in our schools and workplaces is a result of we not being content with what we have. And more messages. Abel from Kokrobite. I like the way the old man is thinking. Which of the old man? Is it me? Let's talk. Let's take them to Kolebu to check their minds before coming to power. Okay. Counseling for the ministers and leaders before they come to power. All right. All right. So, frankly speaking, can Parliament halt the National Cathedral construction and order an audit? That's a question that is being asked. Is it possible for Parliament to step in?
Parliament can step in.
Yeah.
That is the assembly of the people of
Yes,
Ghana.
yeah. Parliament can step in. I have nothing to say rather than pray for the nation Ghana, says Abuga. Pharmacist Obosu. These politicians are not telling us the truth, and our pastors to have joined. God bless Ghana from Abuazi VRA. Good morning, CAF. We are very tolerant people. I thank the good Lord for it. Elsewhere, the country would have been a different whole new level. Lawyer Nochi has really taught us a lot today. God richly bless him. And I think we are done with our messages this morning. So I'm going to go back to my seat. Thank you so much, all of you, for spending your data on us. Final thoughts from my guests this morning. We've gone through a whole lot of issues. History of Nana Kwabena Ansah, the
Kwame
Ansah, sorry. Yeah. He was the Edina chief, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the interactions with the people from over the horizon who managed to put the building up here. They started coming to Ghana in 1471.
The Portuguese, yes.
500 years before I was born, exactly.
500 years.
Yes.
Yes, and 500 years ago, our people were very intelligent.
Yes.
They were not prepared to receive the Europeans. Today we send ourselves there.
Yeah, through the desert, over the seas.
Everywhere we are going.
Yeah.
And then our governments too have not learned that as much as possible, our people were trying to protect what we had. Today we are not. Yeah.
Lessons from history and lessons from psychology as well. You've taught me a lot about how to deal with discipline. That everybody's basically just. Can you imagine these people who want to destroy these vehicles and property at Krobia Asante School going through this exercise?
Yeah.
Get them, let them write.
They will have reason. What did you gain?
What did you gain? What was the disadvantage?
Yeah.
Come and present it to the school.
Yeah.
Prescribe your own punishment.
Sure.
Yeah.
You will think too.
And then, Kafi, do you know that at a higher level, at the university, you know, students enter, let's say, University of Ghana, and before you realize, the same University of Ghana students, just because one set is in Commonwealth and another is in maybe Legon Hall, they begin to fight and cause damage to property. If it is KNUST, you are in Katanga, another in Unity, and you are fighting. When at the end of the day, you are just students of the same university, you are just students of the same country. You understand?
Doesn't make sense. We all need massive national counseling. Professor Bruce.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much
okay.
for the conversations. We'll be following that demand for the audit by the two Reverends, Eastwood Anaba and Duncan Williams on the National Cathedral. That's more to come on GTV. Professor Daniel Bruce is a clinical psychologist and lecturer at Methodist University. And lawyer Jao Anachifrimpong is a lawyer and a historian. You can get this show, the clips of this whole show, on Facebook. Just go to GTV Ghana, follow us, like the page, and then follow the videos. There's a repeat of this conversation later on tonight, so you check out GTV for that. Gentlemen, I thank you so much. Are you going to court today?
Yes.
You look like you're going to court. Interesting cases for you?
Cases have never been interested.
But they pay the bills.
Oh, definitely they have to.
And are you going to your clinic today?
Yes.
You are?
Yes, I'll
Okay,
go.
yeah. We regards to your clients.
Thank
Tell them Cap said hi.
Yeah.
All right.
God
Okay.
bless you too.
Thank you too.
GTV.
GTV Breakfast, continue with conversations on police and civilian relationships. There's the pre-mix issue, and then Camido is in the house as well. Don't go anywhere. Keep watching.